Hi Blues, welcome back to Blue Moon Rising TV. Today I'm joined by Alex and Walter because we've got a big job to do. We are going to talk big about the summer clear out at Manchester City. Is Pep Guardiola going to get rid of all the dead wood? Is he going to start afresh? What's it going to look like? Is anyone guaranteed a spot in Manchester City next season? Alex, Walter, are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
We're ready.
Okay, all right, they're excited. They can smell blood. And we're going to start with number one. Joe Hart. Now, there's a lot of rumours been flying about that maybe another keeper's going to come in. What do you make of it? Manuel Neuer, would he leave Bayern? Is Joe Hart going to be our keeper next season, Alex?
There's a few top-class keepers out there, but for me, by anyone, I don't think anyone could say that Joe Hart's outside the top 10 goalkeepers in the world for me, and I think that's good enough for City. There's nobody out there that's that much better that would be worth losing one of City's key players, one of the old guard, someone who knows what the club's about, knows what the fans are about, and of course is part of the English quota. For me, Joe Hart has to stay in next season.
Walter, is Joe Hart number one on your squad list?
Yeah, he's an absolute keeper for me. As Alex said there, he actually fulfills the English quota. And if you're thinking about, we've got a limited amount of, although it's a big limited amount of resources to spend, I always believe that we've got other positions that need a bit more attention than Joe Hart. So Joe Hart, absolute keeper. Quite literally.
The amount of money that we've got to spend is limited in the same way that there's a limited amount of oxygen around the earth. But yeah, there is a limit to it, apparently. Okay, Joe Hart is in. Next keeper is Willy Caballero. Don't know how you pronounce his name. Willy in or Willy out?
Willy out, I think, and possibly shake it all about. I think with Willy, he's just obviously, he's a City icon now. He is getting on a little bit, and maybe I think this is probably one of the ways that Pep will squeeze in one of his own boys in the dressing room, whether that's Valdez or whether that's someone else, who knows. But I think Willy Caballero, time is probably the essence, and I think he'll probably go to the MLS or back to Spain or wherever, pick up a paycheck somewhere. But I think the time is now for Willy to move on, be a City icon, and not spoil that lovely, lovely League Cup final.
Willy's getting squeezed out, Walter. Do you agree?
Well,
so this is possibly the last time we can say stuff like this. So we've really got to go for it.
That's fair enough. I'm just thinking.
With the Willy jokes.
I'm not really too fussed either Willy in or Willy out. The guy, if he leaves now, will always be a legend. He's got his own chant. It's going to be important for us to actually towards the end of the season. But for next season, he's the backup keeper. You always want a fairly decent quality, and I think he's all right. So I'm not overly fussed about him.
Okay, so I'm gonna lean on the outside as well. I think Manuel Pellegrini brought him with him. He was kind of his man that he brought with him. I think Guardiola's going to want to bring in another face there. And the forgotten man, Richard Wright. Alex.
He is the forgotten man. I'd genuinely forgotten he was playing for City. I don't think this one matters too much. I think Richard Wright, cracking. If he gets on the squad list, he's an English player quota. Awesome, wicked. But I presume, even if he's not registered as a player next year, he's going to stick around as a coach, and we get all the benefits of experience and what the rest of it. And I'd like to see him, let's do that. Richard Wright's a coach, and let's bring in someone like Angus Gunn off the youth team, who gets the experience of being around a Premier League squad. So I guess Richard Wright out, but it doesn't matter, Paul. It doesn't matter.
Well, he's got to be dudes. Even like we spoke about this earlier, and we were saying he's got to. Does he even clean the boots in his spare time or something at City? I'm sure they'll be able to find something for him to do, Walter, if he wanted to stay.
Well, of course he will do. I mean, Richard Wright has got my ideal job. End of story. He gets to hang around, he gets to all the City games and gets paid for it, and quite a handsome fee as well. And he gets to hang out with the City boys, latest gossip. He's just living the life of Riley because he doesn't do anything. So, in or out, honestly, it really doesn't matter. Probably out, actually, because I'd like to see Angus Gunn given a good try. Have a step up from that academy.
Richard Wright, Britain's biggest scrounger. You heard it here first from Walter Smith. Okay, so let's say out for that. Let's get on to the defenders, because there's a long list here and there's a lot of controversy. The first name on my list is Nicolas Otamendi. Now, there was a lot of talk when he came here about coming as one of the best defenders, established defenders in the world. Probably not quite lived up to that. Will he see a resurgence under Pep Guardiola?
I think so. I think he's getting better at the Premier League. I think he's working it out. His English is getting better. He looks like a hard man. He looks like an enforcer when he isn't rolling around on the ground. But I think if he's paired with the right player, I think he could be a Pep player. I think he's got enough intelligence about him to know when to play the ball and when not to. And he knows his own abilities. I think he knows what he's capable of, and that's the sort of player that Pep likes. Someone who's a good chess piece, someone that Pep can manoeuvre and work with and make that easy for him. I think, you know what? Why change him? Why bring? It takes defenders a year to get used to the Premier League. So why put someone else in that position where we can keep Otamendi, and next year let's see him really crack on and live up to his reputation? Otamendi in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be definitely going for Otamendi, and we don't spend that kind of cash on a central defender and just give him one season, as Alex said, and get him out of the club. He's got his weaknesses, don't get me wrong. I think he goes to ground too easy, but I also think that he's not been protected in that back four well enough either. I think teams have actually sussed us out, and he's had to play that aggressive style as well. So if there's one, I always think if Pep can turn Boateng into arguably one of the best central defenders in the world, and we all seen what he was like at City, I think Otamendi has got a better tool set as a footballer to actually bring forward and actually make him an absolute worldie.
I think it's in no doubt that he's got the raw skills. We're going to say in for Nicholas Otamendi and see a resurgence under Pep. Okay, the next player, Gael Clichy. Now, Walter, you've spoken at length in the past about wing-backs being a young man's game. None of our wing-backs are young anymore. They've all seen probably better days. But do we get rid of all of them? Does Gael Clichy deserve a place on next season's team sheet?
Yeah. For me, Clichy's an absolute yes. You should keep him. The reasons for this should be, I think we should be getting, don't get me wrong, we should be bringing in a left-back, which I'll lead on to Kolarov in a wee bit. But what I'm thinking is Clichy's homegrown for a start. And the other thing I always like is having Arsenal defenders just to wind Piers Morgan up because they've got the old trophy hall. But I just think Clichy has looked solid this year, and I think he seems to be improving. Every time you think, maybe we should show him the door, he puts a run of games together and looks absolutely superb. So for me, yes, he's a keeper.
I've got to agree with that. I think Gael Clichy, he's Mr. Consistent. I've criticised him in the past. And said maybe it will be time for Clichy to go this summer. But you know what? He does the job. And I think if he's paired with a younger left-back, someone who can be the first choice that we bring in this summer, then I think keep Clichy around. He's one of those players that, touch wood, always seems to have an 8 out of 10 game. He always gets the job done. He's never particularly world-class outstanding man of the match, but he's also very, very rarely makes the mistakes that cost us. So I think that's the sort of player that I want around the squad. If he counts for the player quota for homegrown, that's a big thumbs up as well. Gael Clichy in.
It's a funny one because you've got to think about Pep Guardiola's preferred formation as well. He sometimes plays with 3 at the back and plays a very wide midfield, doesn't he? So you've also got to think, how are these guys going to fit in? Will they be able to fit in? The next name on the list, well, Martin Demichelis. Is it time for him to head over to Argentina and become Baywatch Martin, as Walter called him?
Yeah,
I think it is. His legs have gone out there. He was brought in for about 3.5 million, and he did a job. And you could just slowly but surely this season, he's become a bit of a laughingstock, if I'm honest. And I don't like to see that happen to any player. So should he be moved on, we should show him the door and let him retire onto a nice beach with his missus and live up his life that way.
Yeah, it's the time now. I think no more questions needed. I can't add anything on to Walter. New York City are waiting with open arms. River Plate have got him a villa waiting for him. It's just wherever he wants to go, that's fine. But
not
I think it's time.
Okay, time to cut the cords with Martin Demichelis. Next then on the list is Jason Denayer. He's had a year in Turkey, a year before that in Celtic. Is it time for him to step up to the plate, lads?
Yeah, I'd like to see it. He started for the Netherlands. He started for Belgium against Portugal.
That's how good he is.
Yeah, he should play for everyone. We'll play for Spain next week, Germany. He started for Belgium against Portugal, and you've got to remember that at the start of the year, Belgium were the number 1 international team in the world. If he's getting that, that says something that they're putting faith in him. He's doing the business at Galatasaray. He did the business at Celtic before. There's a nice progression there, and I think if he comes into the squad, maybe not an absolute first choice league starter, but he's getting in and around the squad. He's putting pressure on the first 2, and I want to see Denayer in the first team. Player that City have developed, but of course, City don't develop young players.
Yes, I think we're hopefully going to start seeing this new generation of City players. I'm going to shut everybody up who says that about us once for all, aren't we, Walter?
Yeah, of course we are. I mean, Dene is absolute quality. He's good on the ball. He's strong in the tackle. I mean, them Celtic fans absolutely adored him. And he's had his time out now. I don't think he was supposed to go. I think Mangala was supposed to be sold last summer. So that all kind of backfired when he didn't leave. So it left us with that one extra. Hindsight should have said Di Michele should have been out the door. But with Dene, he's proved it now in 2 different leagues. He's ready to take the step up at City. An absolute inner.
Brilliant. Okay, next name on the list. Walter, I believe, has something to say about this man. The man who everybody thought was going to knock out referees with the power of his free kicks, but unfortunately we yet to see that. Alexander Kolarov. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is with Alexander Kolarov, I'd show him the door now. I just don't think he's good at going forward, but he's like one of them players. He loves to bomb on and showboat, and he's got his one trick that he likes to pull out of the bag, and then actually his job is defending, and that's where he's let us down, and he's dropped some right clangers and left us in the lurch a couple of times this year. So Kolarov, for me, if it was a staring competition, he'd win, but it's not, so he's out.
No, for me, I think we should be putting Kolarov up front, because that seems to be the way he thinks he plays. And I think he's done a job for City in the past, and I think now the time is that, as I said a minute ago, there's only a room now for either Clichy or Kolarov. Clichy's won that battle. His form has been sublime. Kolarov's been shaky this year. Kolarov's very well thought of in Italy and Eastern Europe. I'm sure there are big moves for him. So we cash in now.
Yeah, doing funny videos on City TV isn't necessarily enough to keep you a place in the first team, is it? That's going to be Alexander Kolarov out. Next on the list, well, this is the big one. Vincent Kompany. He's had a tough season. He's had a lot of injuries. Is Pep Guardiola going to put his faith in a man who probably can't muster up more than 20 games a season?
Hang on. Where has this come from that Vinny's not fit? This is the first time it's happened. And look at the players that have gone off injured this season. Sterling, Nasri, De Bruyne, Joe. It goes on. There's definitely something going on at City where we can't keep players fit. And I want to give Vinny a chance next season and go, actually, all right, this season didn't work out. But Aguero gets injured every season. So if you're going to go down that route, why don't we get rid of Sergio? It's just the thing. Vincent Kompany is the lifeblood of Manchester City's back four. He holds everything together. I was saying before, Vincent Kompany, if Manchester City was a house, Vincent Kompany's the kitchen, the centre, the breathing room, where it's all made, where the family get together. He is Manchester City. He might as well be. And it's all right. He's had a couple of shockers at the start of the season, and he's had an injury. But I don't think Pep Guardiola would risk. He'd have to start again with the back four. He's a level head, and he links the midfield to the back. He's just great. Do I think he'll stay? I really don't know. I think Otamendi's more likely to stay than Kompany. I think Otamendi's a cert. I think Kompany is someone that I could see Pep going, right, okay, I'm going to start to make the statement that we're starting afresh. I don't necessarily think that's needed, and I think Kompany's come with some undue criticism in the last few weeks. Just because he got injured at such a crucial time in the season, but
he's had 4 calf injuries this season alone, Alex. I mean, you've got to recognise that something's wrong there, whether it's with the medical team or Kompany himself.
Something's wrong, but also it's tired in the sense that we're rushing him back too soon. He's had injuries. The players around him, like Mangala and Demichelis, haven't been suitable backups this season. And that meant that Kompany's had to go into games that he shouldn't have played, to play like 80 minutes when he should have played 20, to go through a strenuous big games where he's got to perform at his best. In the same way with David Silva. David Silva's been thrown in at the deep end when really he should have been having nice kind of 20-minute off the benches, playing in reserve matches, and instead he's had to go on in the Champions League and pull it out of the bag for us.
Alex is sure that he wants to keep Kompany at City. If Kompany is the kitchen, has he gone off the boil?
Ooh. I don't think he's gone off the boil. I think the problem with Kompany is, if Kompany was a racehorse, he'd be out to stud now.
The metaphors here are outrageous. I'm loving it.
But it's the case of City need a defender, or a linchpin, should I say, that they can actually count on. And unfortunately, like all of us, company ain't getting any younger. And you've got to wonder, these injuries have been coming thick and fast now for a while. It happened last season, it's happening this season. If we're relying on him, we're going to be severely lacking. That's all I'm thinking. So what I'm saying is in, out. I would actually leave it up to Pep Guardiola, and I would also leave it up to the medical staff to actually have a look at him. I don't know if Guardiola's going to bring in his own medical staff to have a look at him as well, but something needs to be sorted with him. Either he's good and he's fit and he's ready to go. If he's not, well, tough choices have to be made.
Well, hang on, isn't it just maybe now, though, is that because we all know Guardiola's going to bring in a centre-half. Denaya's coming back. Mangala might stick around. I mean, companies, he's not the youngest player in the world. So why don't we just keep him around? Why don't we keep him around? He's there for the big games when you need a big personality to lead the front line. Your cup semi-finals, your Champions League last 16 games, those games. And he only plays 20 games a season. Why not?
He might be injured.
But if he's only playing 20 games a season, he's not going to get injured in the same way that it was for Puyol at the end of Barcelona, in the same way it was for Maldini in Italy. It's just kind of someone who's there more as a kind of personality around the team than they are.
Breaking up is hard to do, Alex.
Sorry, breaking up is hard to do. I just don't want him to leave. But hey, I tell you what, if he's been a kitchen and he's been a racehorse, surely halfway between makes him a Findus lasagna. I'm not particularly sure that's why I want to think of
No, these metaphors really are getting out of hand. I think Alex is so bad at dealing with breakups, I think Mark Hughes would still be the manager if he had his choice. No, it's something we don't want to see. I'm erring between both of you. I'm going to put this as a maybe in the middle. And like Walter says, it's up to Pep to decide. I think we all agree, if he's there, if he's fit, if he's on his game, no question, he's the first name on the team sheet. But it's just whether he's physically capable, isn't it? We're going to have to move on. I think we could talk a lot longer about Vinny. The next name is Mangala. Now, have we gone with like a few ins so far? We've got to start looking at some players that are going to have to make way. Is this one of the players that's going to have to make way for somebody new?
No. I'm going to say Mangala's got every attribute to be... He's almost like the perfect specimen of a centre-half. He's quick, he's fast. And the other thing I like about him is if you actually told him, would you go out and mark the likes of Costa, he will just literally follow that man down the tunnel half-time. He'll probably get in the car and away with him on the way home. But the problem with him is he doesn't seem to have a footballing brain. He gets caught out of position a lot. Now, what I'm hoping is that Pep Guardiola can actually work with this lad because he's got it all there physically. Mentally, can Pep get into his head? And could he be I think he's going to be the surprise package of the players there to actually improve for next season.
Alex, Walter's saying in. I remember that you once described him as having the shiniest head in football. Yeah. Have you got anything else to add to this conversation?
He is the shiniest head in football. If anyone can deny me that, I'd like to see. But I think with I do agree with Walter. I think Mangala has got the attributes. I've said this in the past that as an individual footballer, he's one of the best centre halves in the world in terms of his attributes. But he's not got a footballer's brain. He doesn't know when to go, when to play the ball, when to commit, when to stand off. And his communication is what's cost us. When he's been next to Vinny, who can marshal him a little bit, he's done the job. When he's been next to Demichelis in the derby, that's when those nice big gaps appear, and that's when Marcus Rashford slips in. And that's not just Marcus Rashford, it was Kane at Spurs, it was so many players over the season. And it's painful to watch. And I think for that reason, Pep might sit him down and teach him to play Pep's way, or he might go, you know what, I want John Stones or Laporte, someone who can read the game a little bit better. And I think maybe Mangala, it might be time. I presume he's very well thought of in France, given that he's still getting in the national team. So maybe PSG or Monaco will sign him for us. But for me, Mangala out. Sorry, Eloquim.
If PSG want to offer 50 million quid like they're prone to for centre-backs, then I'm sure we'd consider a deal there. I think after just hearing what you were saying there, Alex, about him requiring a leader next to him, I think that's what we need when Kompany's not in the team, isn't it? We need somebody who can really control that back line, and that's probably as much as what we miss as Vinny's qualities as a defender.
What I think
is that ability.
Is when Otamendi's been on his travels. When he was playing with Mangala, Otamendi was the boss in Portugal. He was the one who did the marshalling, which is why it surprised me at the start of the season that Otamendi was caught out of position once or twice. So if Otamendi's got the potential long term to be that sort of player. But obviously the man for that was Karim Rekik going to PSV and being captain straight away, and we've let him go. And I think that was probably a little bit short-sighted of us. I think Karim wanted to be a first-team player now, so maybe he kind of forced it. But for me, looking back, Karim Rekik now would be the season for him to kind of really push on and be the Man City player that we know he can be. Well, we know he could have been.
I'm going to stick him in the maybe pile then. We've got a yes and a no from both of you. I'm unsure as well, so I can't really call that one. Okay, now moving to the right-back position. A player who probably surprised us all pleasantly this season, well, definitely did after last season not having so much of a great one. Bakary Sagna, he's getting on a bit. Has he got? Could he fight for a position there? Maybe has he got a season or two left in him?
I would definitely keep Sagna, and the reasons for this is he's a cool customer. And if you ever notice when we play the big games and we've got a fast attacking left winger on the opposition, he's the man to bring on. The reason I would keep him also is the other right back, I think I'd be letting go, but I'll go into reasons why for that after. But what I'm saying is Sagna, absolute keeper.
That's a yes from Walter, resounding. Alex, are you sure?
I'm not as sure. Sagna keeps doing the business, like you say, he's a cool customer, he gets the job done, and he's someone that we expect to keep falling away, and he keeps coming back with good performances. For me, though, Sagna and Zaba, between one of them's probably got to go if we're going to replace him with someone younger. But what I'm thinking is actually, who's out there that's a top-class right-back that's going to move this summer? You know, Alaba looks committed. Someone was saying Nathaniel Klein, didn't they? If Klein's the option in, I'll keep Sagna, thank you very much. But I'm all about nostalgia. I think Zabaletta's got to stay for me. And if that means that Sagna's got to go, I'm so sorry, Bakary, because you've done the job and you've earned your place, but I'm not sure there's room on the ship. Sagna out.
Torn again. We're not getting many answers here because you're all disagreeing, but we're going to stick him in the maybe pile again as well. Pab Zab, Mr. Manchester City the third. Surely he's got a future at City in some way, Walter.
He might have a future in some way, but as first choice right back, definitely. What I don't want to see happen to him is what happened to Di Michaelis. You know, the way he's getting on, it's a young person's position, it's a high energy position, and I think cracks have started to show. In previous seasons, for me, he's been arguably the best right back in the Premier. So actually, I don't want to see this man fall from grace. I want to see him go out on a high. I want to see people chanting his name for years to come. And simple reason being is because we didn't let him decline. He's been moved on. I'd like to see him move abroad. It's almost like breaking up with a girlfriend when I was younger and she ran off with a fella from next door. You'd be gutted because you've got to keep seeing them. But if they've actually run off with a foreign fella miles away in a foreign country, they're easy to forget. So I'm hoping all the best for him and he gets his game somewhere else.
Okay. Alex, would you rather see Pab Zab running off with Juan rather than Chelsea?
That sort of turned into a soap opera then with...
I want to know the backstory a bit. We'll speak to you after the video's finished, Walter, about what happened.
But going back to it now, for me, I've let her in. Sorry to disagree with you again, Walter, but... I mean, Paul Merson the other day listed him as the best right back in the Premier League still, Pablo Zabaleta. I think on the one game in form, he can do it. If we bring in someone younger to kind of work with him in the same way with Clichy on the left back, I'm a Zabaleta in. Sorry, guys.
He's another player that's had a lot of injuries, and I'm sure if he was at his peak and fully fit, then we'd see the Zabaleta of old. And could this be the case where we've never really had a sort of City legend of the current crop go off to another team, like right at the top of the table? It makes me think of Lampard when he came to us and how that must have felt for Chelsea. Could we see something like that happen with Pablo Zabaleta? Who do you think, out of the defenders and goalkeepers, it should be staying and who should be going next season? Who's earned their place in Pep Guardiola's defensive side? Guys, we're going to have to do this in 2 videos because it's going on. We've got so much to talk about. There have been the goalkeepers and defenders. Drop a like on the video, especially if you like this long-form discussion that we're doing here. Comment, let us know who's in, who's out. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and come back for part 2.